Russian drones drop gas grenades amid Donbas advance. In the trenches of eastern Ukraine, a new horror has emerged as Russian forces unleash a silent killer in their relentless push to capture the Donbas region. Ukrainian soldiers find themselves gasping for air as Russian drones drop gas grenades into their positions, leaving them vulnerable and disoriented. One infantryman, Ihar, recalled a harrowing February incident near Chasiv Yar. "I thought about everything that I should and shouldn't have thought about." The suffocating white smoke forced Ukrainian troops out of their cover, making them easy targets for Russian drones and artillery. This tactic, an internationally banned practice in warfare, is part of Russia's grand offensive to occupy the last Ukrainian-held cities in Donbas. As Ukrainian forces severely outmanned and outgunned withdraw village by village, Moscow's troops employ this suffocation strategy to take out entrenched personnel and dampen morale. Ukraine troops left gasping for air. The effects of these chemical attacks are devastating. Soldiers report burning sensations throughout their bodies, with one 42-year-old infantryman, Vladislav Pihalenko, describing it vividly. "Everything is burning. The skin is burning, the nose is burning, throat, lungs." For Ihar and his comrades, the aftermath of a gas attack is a race against time. "Another 5 minutes at the trench contaminated with gas, and the lungs would have collapsed," he said. Many soldiers are left with lasting health impacts, unable to perform basic physical tasks without running out of breath. The psychological toll is equally severe. Sergeant Vyacheslav from the 116th Territorial Defense Brigade noted that the most terrifying aspect is the potential for panic among comrades. Some units have resorted to laying down their weapons during attacks to prevent soldiers from harming themselves or fleeing in terror. Silent killer. Russia boosts grinding Donbas advance. As Russia intensifies its use of chemical agents, the Ukrainian military reports over 4,000 officially recorded cases of violations of the 1993 Chemical Weapons Convention. This marks a sharp increase from about 600 cases in January, with the frequency of attacks tripling in recent months. Hamish de Bretton-Gordon, former commanding officer of the UK's Joint Chemical, Biological, Radiological and Nuclear Regiment, explained the effectiveness of this tactic. "Your natural reaction is to get the hell out of there because it feels as though you are dying. And so the guys get out of the trench, and then the Russians immediately follow it up with fire and artillery." The combination of modern drone warfare with these illegal chemical weapons has created a lethal new threat on the battlefield. De Bretton-Gordon added, "The noise and the impact of artillery and tank fire is unbelievable, whereas gas is a silent killer." Ukraine soldiers often unprepared and unequipped. Despite the growing threat, many Ukrainian soldiers find themselves ill-prepared to face chemical attacks. Most interviewees across the front lines reported not having modern gas masks, with some skeptical about the effectiveness of the Soviet-era masks distributed by the Army. Some soldiers, like Vasil from the 53rd Separate Mechanized Brigade, dismissed the need for gas masks altogether. "What do we need gas masks for? It's just extra weight." This attitude, coupled with a lack of proper equipment and training, leaves many troops vulnerable. Colonel Artem Vlasuk from the Ukrainian military's support forces acknowledged the problem, stating that soldiers who don't understand how tear gas works can react in a way that makes it worse. He emphasized the need for better organization and preparation at the squad and platoon levels. US accuses Russia of chemical weapons violations. The United States has officially accused Russia of deploying chemical weapons as a method of warfare in Ukraine. The U.S. State Department alleges that Russia has used chloropicrin, a choking agent, to gain battlefield gains over Ukrainian forces. These allegations, which US officials claim are not isolated incidents, would violate the Chemical Weapons Convention that Russia has signed. The Kremlin, however, has rejected these accusations as baseless. In response, the U.S. has imposed sanctions on 3 Russian government entities associated with chemical and biological weapons programs, as well as 4 Russian companies that have contributed to such entities. International response and call for action. The international community is grappling with how to address this escalating threat. De Bretton-Gordon stressed the importance of holding Russia accountable for these war crimes and called for increased support for Ukraine, particularly in the form of modern gas masks. "It's all about knowledge if you know what to do. Then you're less likely to become a casualty," he said. emphasizing the need for better equipment and training to counter this tactic. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons (OPCW) has received detailed information from Ukraine about Russia's alleged violations of the Chemical Weapons Convention. However, the OPCW stated in May that the information provided by both sides was insufficiently substantiated. As the conflict in Ukraine grinds on, the use of chemical agents adds a new dimension of horror to an already brutal war. With Russian forces looking for ways to break through the stalemate, there are concerns that they might escalate to even more deadly chemical weapons. The international community faces a critical challenge in responding to these violations and providing Ukraine with the necessary countermeasures. As DeBretton Gordon warned, the concern is Russia might escalate to more deadly chemical weapons, which is why it's so important that the international community calls them out on it. Subscribe for more.